Geek out! LaserDicks, you sexy motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Hey, and welcome to another exciting episode of LaserDicks. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ken.
And today we're talking about horror movies.
Ooh.
Now, I've always been a huge fan of the genre, so I have actually a big stack of horror movies on LaserDisc.
A metric ton.
Yep, possibly. I don't know how much a metric ton is, so it could be. This feels like maybe 10 pounds, so if that's a metric ton, boom.
Haven't you seen Pete's Dragon? A ton is 2,000 pounds.
I actually haven't. But that also doesn't tell me what a metric ton is.
That's true.
I assume it's 2,000 pounds in grams.
Yeah, I should look that up because I use that as like it weighs a lot, that sort of thing. But no, you should watch that movie. That's a classic Disney movie.
We'll see. If I feel like it, I might check it out.
Also, you need to see Singing in the Rain.
Yeah, you gave that to me last month, and still haven't watched it.
I mean, that's like where all my comedy comes from.
Yeah,
that's a part of me. I'm bearing my soul to you.
This is who I am,
whether you like it or not.
Yeah. So, without further ado, I think, maybe just I don't know. How do you want to go about doing this? Just talk about the horror movies we have, and maybe say like what they mean to us, or how exciting it is to watch it on LaserDisc.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could probably talk a little bit about that, and then also take a look on the backs to see, what makes this a special release. Because, I mean, with these theme episodes, it's hard to get in, the technical LaserDisc details because, they were released on multiple platforms, but there may be something on the back there.
Yeah, and also, the one thing that I always worried about doing this show is that LaserDiscs, they're movies, they're visual medium, so, yeah, it's hard to be like, hey, look at how widescreen this is.
That's so widescreen.
But in no particular order, because I just kind of grabbed them out of my collection as I was like, oh, hey, that's a horror movie. First one is Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this is the beginning of my favorite franchise in the slasher subgenre of horror. Freddy Krueger. Out of all the slashers, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, any of the other ones, Freddy Krueger was always my favorite because he always creeped me out the most.
Right.
Because there's something about he comes at you in your dreams. You can't stop him. So that always creeped me out.
Well, those also had really crazy visual effects.
Yeah.
Compared to Jason, which is just Freddy, Jason, and I guess Mike Myers. Yeah. They were all they
just kind of stalk you.
They stalk you. Oh, it's spooky, and then they kill you.
Yeah.
Whereas this, he's legitimately giving you nightmares.
Exactly. And he fucks with you too. The further into the series they got, the more some people complain that they're silly and campy, but I think the way I look at it, I'm the more he's having fun with it, and he's just you know what? No, you're not only am I going to kill you, but I'm going to make a joke while I'm doing it, just to add insult to injury, and then I'm going to take something that you love, like drawing comic books, and I'm going to make comic books be the thing that kills you. So that was really cool. I bought this the day that I heard that Wes Craven had passed away.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it was a sad day for me. I really wanted to get the special edition that has the cover is the red and green sweater.
Oh, okay.
It's just red and green lines.
Right.
But unfortunately, because Wes Craven had just passed away, everyone was like, oh, well, now I'm going to sell things for 10 times more than what they were the day before. So, so all I was able to afford was the widescreen special edition. Did that come through the mic? Or sorry if everyone just heard the doo-doo-doo from my Windows telling me that there was an update or something like that. Now it's muted. Now it's not muted. What a piece of crap. So sorry if you had to hear that.
Windows is a great system, ladies and gentlemen.
Sponsors. But so it's widescreen. It's CLV, but it still looks beautiful. I popped this in as soon as I got it. And some interesting notes. That I thought were kind of cute when I watched it. On the back, it says the transfer onto Laserdisc was actually supervised by the director of photography, Jacques Hatkin, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. And then it's presented in the original theatrical aspect ratio of 1:85:1, and includes the original theatrical trailer.
Oh, well, that's a nice little...
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed they don't have Freddy on the cover, though. Just his hand.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Or his face. I forget. It's the shot where he's like coming through the wall above Nancy's head,
right.
And at one point it's his hand, one point it's his face, and I forget exactly which. That looks more hand to me. Yeah,
it kind of has little spikes right there, and that's a thumb for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's what at least growing up, that's what I remembered the most, is like his face, like this scarred face.
Yeah.
Because I think the third one is I never seen any of them. But
really?
my
you want to borrow them? I have all of them on DVD.
Oh, well, I may do that.
This is the only one I have on Laserdisc.
But my cousin actually had the VHS of the third one, and I remember distinctly looking at it like, man, that face is really creepy looking.
Oh yeah, no, the first nightmare that I remember ever having is literally just because of the cover of Nightmare 4, I think, or whichever one is the demon child or the dream child, sorry, not the demon child, where there's a stroller, like a hell stroller on the cover, and like that gave me a nightmare because I was like 6.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but they're pretty good if you want to see it. That 3 is my favorite, and I think it's kind of generally accepted that 3 is the best.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah. Then next on my docket is one that you've heard me talk about before, but I kind of just went over it real quickly. It is The Keep. This, if you remember one of the first episodes where we did prized possessions, this is one of those movies that was only ever put out on Laserdisc. I forget if I mentioned it in the show. You can now get it on like Amazon Video or whatever, but it is literally just a straight digitization of the Laserdisc copy. So it's not like up converted to high def or anything like that. You still get all the pops and noise and whatnot from as if you were watching it on Laserdisc.
So they don't even have like the original 35 millimeter.
Either that or they didn't spend the money to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
that's true.
Well, I mean, Michael Mann has come out. He's the guy that directed it. He's come out saying that like he was real passionate about it when it first came out, and like the studio kind of like tore it to shreds when they released it. He's come out being like, you know what, whatever. It is what it is. You know that. You know it's out there already. I'm not gonna bother, wasting my time on it anymore or something like that. Basically being like, there's not going to be a 3-hour cut. Like supposedly the original cut of it was like 3.5 hours or something like that. And like from what it sounds like, the Laserdisc and now like the Amazon Video version is all we're ever going to have. Yeah. But so this was an earlier film from Michael Mann. It's got Ian McKellen in it. Oh. Yeah. Robert Prosky, who I forget who he is now, but I remember when I first looked it up, I looked up who Robert Prosky was, and I was like, oh shit, he's in a whole bunch of things. So you get him, and a couple other people who have been in plenty of other things, and this is like earlier on in their career.
And what year was it?
This was like 84.
Okay.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry, 83. The Laserdisc was 84. But yeah, so it's a really cool movie. I can't remember if I had seen it when we did the episode of Prized Possessions, but I have since watched it a couple times, and it's actually a really cool movie.
Right.
And it's got a great super 80s soundtrack. If you get the chance, I think it's only a couple bucks on Amazon Video. Or like, if you're like me, $30 for $30 to $100, depending on who's selling it on eBay. But it's actually really cool. It's got a lot of cool creature effects. It's a nice, creepy, like slow moving story. And I think it would have been even better if it had been like even 2 hours, because I think it's only like an hour and a half. Yeah, it's 96 minutes. If it had even been like 2 hours, I feel like you would have gotten such a richer story, because there's a lot of things that feel like it's just kind of glazed over.
Oh, what you got here?
Oh, this a classic, one of Steven Spielberg's first movies, Jaws. Yeah, the the beautiful movie that he basically did, like, you know, with pocket change.
Oh,
I want to say it's his first, like, quote unquote big studio movie. Like,
right.
I know he did Duel before it,
mm-hmm.
which if you ever get a chance to see Duel, which when are we posting this video or this podcast?
This Friday.
I think next something or other, next week or the week after. Our local Alamo Draft House is showing Duel.
Oh,
so I would highly recommend anyone who lives in the Northern Virginia area come down to the Ashburn Alamo and check out Duel, because it's I've seen it. My mom for years has been like, "Oh, you got to check out Duel. You love Steven Spielberg. It's his first actual movie, and it's basically his rough draft for Jaws.
Oh.
But instead of a shark, it's a 16-wheeler or an 18-wheeler, a big truck, and it's all about this one guy being, like, chased by this big truck down a
no
highway.
way. I think I saw, like, a commercial for that. Oh wait, when I went to the Alamo recently.
Yeah, you probably did. Yeah. But it's such a good movie. Anyway, we're talking about Jaws.
We're talking about Jaws.
But so I love Jaws. Jaws made Jaws legitimately. You know, it returned on its claim that you'll be scared to go in the water, because it did deter me from going into the ocean for many years when I was younger. Luckily, we don't live anywhere near like a decent beach, so it didn't really affect my ability to have fun during the summers.
Mm-hmm.
But to this day, I still have weird fears about sharks that make even me laugh. That I still have these fears.
I'm glad I haven't seen it yet. Then,
I mean, to watch it today. Actually, I don't know. It still does a really good job of being creepy and suspenseful.
Well, yeah. I mean, Spielberg definitely has that down for, like, suspension of disbelief. Like, he's able to make your mind believe that this thing is here, even though it's like an animatronic.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing about this is that one of the big things that Jaws is always touted for is that it does such a good job of keeping the suspense.
Right.
Because you never see the shark, or you barely see the shark until the end, where it's, like, all over the place. Wasn't supposed to be like that. That was actually because like, you were supposed to see the shark constantly.
Mm-hmm.
The whole keeping the shark hidden was because the animatronic shark never worked. So yeah, so it's his entire career of being, you know, the master of suspense from Jaws is a fluke.
I'm glad they got it working for the Universal ride that I went on, though. That was I remember that's the only aspect of Jaws that I really had exposure to, was just that wonderful, like, it's coming out of the water, look out.
I've actually never ridden that ride. Is it still there? Do you know? I feel like it's been replaced with something else.
It might have, because the last time I went there, Back to the Future ride was still there, which I got to ride.
I'm so glad I got to ride that before it got taken down.
It was the best. They still at least have the videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So those
if you have the Blu-ray, you can watch the video.
Oh, well, those of you that have that, please check that out, because that's a fun little, like, add-on, because it's all, you know, they got, you know, Biff and they got Doc Brown, they got those actors, and it still feels a part of the the series. Yeah.
So then next on the docket is one of my favorite trilogies of all time.
Ooh.
Not Star Wars. Although not to say I don't like Star Wars, I'm just saying Star Wars is not a horror movie.
I'm leaving now.
It is the Evil Dead trilogy. Soon to be more.
Whoa.
Potentially. I mean, Ash vs. the Evil Dead is doing very well, so
okay.
They've talked about expanding the universe. And I mean, technically Ash vs. the Evil Dead is like the equivalent of what, you know, Evil Dead 4 is.
Yeah, and they got the rights to at least the first two right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so they could conceivably make a sequel.
Yeah. But so I got... these are pretty cool. With the... I mean, Army of Darkness is nice. The LaserDisc I have, it's nice. It's, you know, it's in widescreen, and it's pretty good quality transfer. But the real gems of this collection are Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Right.
Because Evil Dead 1 is a gold-plated disc.
Yep.
And it is beautiful. And it's CAV quality too. Mm-hmm. The Army of Darkness is just CLV quality. And then you got here Evil Dead 2. It's a blood red disc, and it's if I recall, let me real quick look at it just to be sure. But I think it's also CAV quality.
But it's only a single disc, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So it's probably CLV. But I gotta say, in my collection, Evil Dead 2 is probably still the best looking, like best quality, like DVD quality LaserDisc I have. And I don't know what it is except for the fact that this one was made in 1997. So it, had the benefit of some of the best quality, transfers and whatnot that they could have made. So like this was made like I think over 10 years after the movie itself was made.
Oh wow.
So yeah, like it was literally a special edition. Oh, okay.
It's crazy though because it is CLV.
Yeah.
So like I mean that.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that a CLV disc would be like the highest quality disc that I have, but it looks so good.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it is that most of the time, like the red was not able to be read.
Yeah, you had to.
Players.
You couldn't just throw it into any LaserDisc player. I think when they first put it out, they put in like a rebate or something like that. Like if it doesn't work in your player, mail it back to us and we'll give you a regular disc.
See, but like that's why when I got it because I think this was the one that I got you, right?
Yes.
When we first put it in, we were so excited that it worked.
Yeah. Oh my God, you have no idea how excited I was. So then I have Alien, the first of how many movies do they have now? Like 5?
I know Alien 3 is a thing.
And Alien Resurrection is 4. And then Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus,
that's fine.
Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator R.
Oh.
If you count those.
Wait, so for Aliens 3, they counted the first Alien?
Huh?
Is there an Aliens 2?
It's Alien, Aliens, and then Alien 3.
That's really confusing. That's really, really confusing. Because I thought Aliens was like a reboot-ish?
No. It's it's a direct continuation of the story.
Oh.
It literally, I mean, so the end, spoilers, the end of Alien, Sigourney Weaver's character gets into an escape pod to escape the alien, and goes into cryogenic sleep. The beginning of Aliens, her escape pod is found like 50 years later.
Oh, wow.
And she's woken up.
Dang.
Yeah. But so Alien is actually one of my favorite horror movies of all time because it's like one of those like beautiful claustrophobic horror movies, and like it took me a long time to warm up to it. Like when I was younger, I was all about Aliens because that's an action movie. It's Marines, it's Marines fighting all these aliens. This one only has one alien, and it's just Sigourney Weaver running around like trying to hide from it for the whole movie. So I was like, this one's boring. Now that I have like a better appreciation for like filmmaking in general, like I'm like, oh man, no, this is such a good fucking movie. Ridley Scott's amazing. And I'm really sad that what's his name ruined Prometheus for him because it wasn't Ridley Scott's fault. It was the guy that they got in to rewrite the script who decided that it doesn't need to be an Alien prequel, even though it fucking was.
Aww.
Anyway, hopefully Prometheus 2 will fix that.
Well, if it's going to be a sequel to Prometheus, then aren't they going to have to deal with their own script for Prometheus 1?
Well, we can talk more about that off mic for me to nerd rage out. Anyway, so then my actual like number one favorite movie of all time, or horror movie rather, is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, not the 2007 or whatever year it was. Not really remake of John Carpenter's The Thing, because that. Well, to get the nerd rage over with, I also have The Thing from Another World, which is the original movie by Howard Hawks production, that John Carpenter's The Thing, by my definition, is a sequel to, sort of like the pseudo sequel, because in John Carpenter's The Thing, the Swedish camp is attacked by the Thing first, and then it spreads to the American camp. And they, to show what the Swedish camp had done, they show footage from the Thing from Another World.
Oh, wow.
And so therefore I'm like, oh, in my head canon, it's a sequel that's just not correct, or not 100%, because this is the group from the thing from Another World is not a Swedish camp, it's an American camp. But so I have John Carpenter's The Thing, and I love it. I love watching it on Laserdisc because it it feels more old,
Right.
kind of like the same reason why kids love listening to vinyl, because it feels warmer, or whatever word you want to use to describe it.
Right.
Like there's something about watching a horror movie on like older media, like VHS or Laserdisc, because it's not pristine. Even though Laserdisc is beautiful, like on my TV, it's a huge, it's 3 times as many pixels as Laserdisc was ever supposed to be presented on. So it looks, it doesn't look as pretty as it could on like a smaller screen. And there's like noise and stuff like that. And there's just something creepy about watching it. At the same time, it's such a beautiful movie that I also own it on Blu-ray, and I'll watch it on Blu-ray just as much as I watch it on Laserdisc, because the Stan Winston's creature effects, I think that's who it is. It is Stan Winston, right? I don't want to. Good, it doesn't say. Who? Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. We got Roy Arbogast, and makeup by Rob Botton, special effects by Master Albert Whitlock.
Ooh.
So sorry, not Stan Winston.
But to your point, though, like I feel that it's the same thing like with video games. People like playing old video games on the old consoles because that lesser quality is nostalgic for them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a nostalgic feeling.
Yeah.
Like it may be not the crystal clear thing, but this is how I remember playing it, or this is how I remember watching it.
Which is like the whole point why we have this podcast.
Exactly.
But so I own both of these because, one, like I said, The Thing is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is my favorite horror movie of all time. And then I wanted to see where it came from with The Thing from Another World. Now, to get a little bit deeper, that 2000-something or other remake of The Thing, that's a remake of A Thing from Another World, not John Carpenter's The Thing.
And you're
in my opinion, in my not so humble opinion. And then one of my other favorite movies of all time, and my second favorite horror movie of all time, I also have on Laserdisc, and that is Stanley Kubrick's, not John Carpenter's. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, and it is seriously one of my favorite movies of all time, as well as definitely one of my favorite horror movies of all time, just because of how well shot it is.
Oh yeah,
and this one, I think I have it on Blu-ray, but I don't watch the Blu-ray nearly as much as the Laserdisc, just because this one, like I don't need that pristine quality to see all the cool makeup and stuff like that, because the style of the filmmaking lends itself to the quality of Laserdisc so well that I can just sit there and be like, yes, this is how this movie was meant to be seen.
Rubs nipples passionately.
Yeah, and this one, I love it. It's about 2.5 hours long, so it's in CLV, 3 sides. But oh my god,
I was wondering about that, yeah, because it's a thick package. I thought it was going to be CAV.
No, Kubrick is a long movie guy, but it's pretty. I love it.
I should check. I mean, you've got a big stack here. Like, unfortunately, when I grew up, I didn't have as much exposure to horror movies. I was mainly the comedy and the cartoon guy, which is basically what my collection is. Yeah. So if you
and then if we want to bring it up again too, I also have Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, the last American movie, or the last movie put on American Laserdisc. And as we mentioned in the Awesome Con wrap up ish episode, I got it signed by Ray Park. What up? That's a horror movie too.
Very nice.
And I like it. It's pretty. Much like Evil Dead 2. It's one of the last movies printed on Laserdisc. So I almost said suffers, but not. But the opposite of suffers from high quality.
Benefits.
Yeah, benefits from a high quality transfer.
All right. Well, to switch gears, I don't really have a whole lot of horror movies in my collection, like I was saying, but I do have one, and you were stoked to find out that I had this.
I geeked out so hard when you pulled that out of your bag.
Yeah, like I sometimes pick up a lot of LaserDisc in like sets, and a lot of times people just group them together because like I want to get rid of them all. And this is one of them, and it is Vincent Price starring in The Tingler.
Yeah, by William Castle.
So you know a little bit more about this movie, but it's a black and white piece. When did this come out?
Like the 50s?
Gosh, I don't even know if it says.
I want to say it was like 53 to 55.
It was before the rating system. It is not rated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, here we go. Well, that's when William Castle was alive. Late 50s. It looks like.
Okay.
It looks like. Okay, it lists a bunch of different other movies. But so tell us what's really really cool about this movie, because I know a little bit. They have a good sized Wikipedia article on the back of here, just detailing a little bit about the movie. Okay, 1959.
Yeah. So. One of the big thing about The Tingler, and in general William Castle, if you ever get a chance, look up. I forget what it's called, but there's this great documentary, and I think it's on Netflix, about William Castle. But he was a real pioneer of the horror genre in the 50s, where you didn't have like home video. You know, it was all in the movie theaters. So. They would William Castle especially, but I'm sure plenty of other directors as well, started coming up with all these crazy gimmicks to get you to watch their movie. You know, he was originally a life insurance salesman, so he would actually give the audience the ability to get a life insurance claim, or whatever you want to call it, like get life insurance before going into the movie, because he was like, this movie is so scary, you could die. Make sure your family is, taken care of after you die from fear of this movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one way to promote a movie.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I want to go see something that I want to almost die too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think every movie he did had that, had the option of like signing up for life insurance before going into the theater. The Tingler did something pretty cool, where about halfway through the movie, it would look like the film cutout. It would simulate the film melting on the screen, and then like it would just go to a white screen, and you would hear Vincent Price's voice come over the speaker and be like, "Oh no, the Tingler, it's loose in this theater." And the Tingler was basically supposed to be like a gigantic centipede or millipede looking thing. They probably just filmed a centipede and like gave it a nice wide angle lens to make it look huge. And like the idea was that it was just crawling around on the ground inside the theater. Now, to really scare the guests, they made it so that someone in the audience would randomly shriek. And how do they do this? Not by hiring a plant, but by adding little like buzzers in the seats. So you would so one or maybe a handful of people in the theater would get random shocks throughout the course of this blank screen, and like you would hear a scream over here and then a scream over here, and then the entire theater would just be like, "Oh my god!"
Oh my god! They actually detailed that back here. So 1 out of every 10 seats in the larger theaters were installed with small or surplus motors. Let's see. The projectionist would watch for a special cue. When instructed, the switch would be thrown and a small jolt of electricity would tingle. The cost of this promotion was like $250,000.
I wish movie theaters would do shit like that.
Yeah.
Now, although it would be so ridiculously expensive to do.
Well, to Alamo's credit, I feel like they would be the ones to do that.
Right? I'm gonna talk to them and I'm gonna be like, buzzers in the seats, Tingler. Let's do this.
We already got like the BTX style of theaters, so I mean, their technology's there to just
right. And then you were reading on the back of it that there was also like an optional.
Yeah, there's the additional gimmick. It's not as well as publicized, but what they did was during that like sequence, they blackened the screen.
Vincent Price.
I'm dumb. I should know his name because I've seen
especially since you're reading it.
Well, see, it's a little known fact that I read a lot in my head, so I never said words out loud. So I have weird pronunciations.
Oh, okay.
So I'm dumb like that. But okay, so they planted a seed by having a patron, a victim, if you will, carried out of the theater in front of the audience, just to like add that additional like, oh, they got him or her, they got them. They didn't do that as much,
right? Because that actually required hiring actors and stuff.
Exactly, but that's still okay. So production, wow. So yeah, altogether that was like it sounds like they spent more money on. Well, they spent over half of the money on this added production for the theater because the production of the 400,000 film. That's how much it cost for the film. So more than half was dedicated to this feature.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you want a movie that gives you kind of like an idea of what it was like to see one of these movies or whatever you want to call it, I highly recommend checking out a movie called, I believe it's called Matinee. It's got what's his name who plays Roseanne's husband on the movie or the show Roseanne. Mm-hmm. I feel like I should know his name.
Goodman.
Yes, John Goodman. It's either Matinee or Marquee. But it's a fictionalized version of William Castle, showing one of a fictionalized version of one of his movies at a theater. And like during the 1 week run that he's doing it or something like that. So John Goodman plays a version, essentially a William Castle type character, but it's a really good movie. And I think that's the reason why I got into William Castle. And then he's got some great movies. He's, if I remember correctly, he is the guy that, did the first 13 Ghosts, and the original, like, The Haunting of Hill House or something like that, or House on Haunted Hill. I forget. Those two movie titles are so way too close. But he did really cool things like with essentially what is 3D technology. Although he didn't do 3D, but like the old school 3D style where you do like red and blue lenses on your eyes. Mm-hmm. So what he did was for 13 Ghosts. The gimmick in that one is you can see the ghosts if you want to, or not. And when they remade 13 Ghosts like 10 years ago with Matthew Lillard, they kind of played on it that like you had to wear the characters had to wear special glasses in order to see the ghosts. But you could watch the movie through the instead of glasses they had like. Basically like a visor that you could put up. And so it was watch it with the blue if you wanted to see the ghosts, watch it with the red if you didn't want to see the ghosts, kind of thing. I might be wrong with exactly like what colors it was, but like
the concept though.
Yeah, the ghosts were only like one, they were monochromatic and you could only watch it. You could only see them through one of the two lenses.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about a little bit more about like all the different stuff they do back here. I'm gonna have to see this.
Yeah, no, you should really watch it. It's pretty good. Like it's bad, but it's pretty.
I mean, it's a 50s movie. It's gonna be really cheesy.
You but yeah, I highly recommend checking out William Castle if you're interested in like the history of horror, or gimmicks and stuff like that. For sure, check it out.
Sweet. Well, that's my one.
Yeah, but you know what? I went on your one just as much as I went on like half of my other ones there too. So
eventually, I'm gonna get more cartoons that I can just talk.
There you go. And then I'll talk about like my cartoons, but you'll talk about them more.
I love cartoons. Well, alrighty, man. I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, this has been another lovely LaserDicks show. I'm Chris,
and I'm Ken. LaserDicks.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.